Party people, Tony Rowe here, back with a rapid game. It is 11:09 at night, and I'm about to get exchange French. Nope, advanced French. All right, that's a little bit better, I guess. Hope everyone's doing all right. Frickin' lockdown, guys, just horrible. I was just talking with a friend about how long it's going to be before chess tournaments come back. I mean, what the heck are people going to do? Like, I don't know. I don't have a solution. Obviously, everyone's going to have to wear masks for a while. There's going to be like, yeah, how do you even do it? I don't know. How do you even stop people from getting in close contact with each other? You know, it's like I train Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which is like literally the worst possible thing for. I mean, you're just rolling on the ground and grappling with other people, and they're sweating on you, and I mean, worst case scenario, there's sweat drips in your freaking mouth or your eyes or something. So I'm not gonna get to train for a long time, but. We have an exchange French here. This is a line I like to play quite a bit. Bishop d7, knight f3, a6, and then the idea is revealed here, of course, after cd, cd, bishop b5. I get to exchange off the dark squared bishops. I'm willing to accept these doubled pawns if he wants them. Usually the pawn gets to b4, and the open a file is a little bit useful. So this is an important subtlety, too, that usually when white goes a3, if I let him go b4 and I just keep the knight here, this knight is a little bit short of useful squares. So usually you meet a3 with knight a4 so that if he wants to go b4, I get the c3 square. Wow, okay, and he's going straight to the gullet here with b5. I'm most tempted to just leave it, honestly. I'm just wondering about a5, like a4, and then he's going to get to go bishop a3. No, I guess he doesn't get to go bishop a3, does he? Actually, I kind of like a5 in this case. One move I've ruled out, I think, is this. I don't think that makes all that much sense. Like one reason why is AB, knight b5, knight to f5, for instance. He's threatening knight d6 check. I guess he's not really threatening knight d6 check, is he? Okay, so that's interesting. Doesn't appear to be anything wrong with a5, and it just seems solid. So one reason I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking long term, like white might want to go something like knight d2 to get rid of this knight, and I'm going to go rook c8, and when he takes, I'm either going to take with the c pawn and expose this d5 square for like knight d5 or queen d5, or I'm going to take with the rook. And in the case that I do take with the rook, I'm going to be happy that this pawn is on a4. It's going to be very weak. I think I'm going to dominate the c file, in which case I'm happy that he has more pawns on the queen side, that I haven't exchanged anything off yet. Yeah, and so yeah, you just have to avoid like knight d5, e d5, queen f5 tricks really. So I'm gonna be forced to take with the rook. Yeah. I don't really even have to do that. I can just go bishop e7 also. Or bishop b4 is also tasty, isn't it? Bishop b4 comes with the, wow. Bishop b4 comes with the additional threat of just taking on c3 and then discovered attacking on e5, or just knight e5 straight away. It also protects this pawn for the time being. That's not super relevant, but... Alright, let's just do that. I had a hell of a time getting a game. I tried to seek a 15-10 in the pools, and it just wasn't happening, so then I went to the lobby and just did a 15-5. I also, stay tuned to after this game. I have a little snippet of a different game that I want to show you guys. The moral of the story being, always watch Tony Rowe videos. You can't see you can't see me. I'm like, always watch Tony Rowe videos. Okay. I don't really know what my plan is here, but I think I have a solid enough position. I just have an advanced French where I don't have a light squared bishop, which is pretty good. Not mad at it. Yeah. I don't know if this is the best move. I'm gonna play it. I'm expecting him to go f4 here, and yeah. Now I do need counterplay because I just have less space, and I need to find some way to generate some sort of counterplay here. So what am I doing? f6, moderately enticing. I'll try it. I'll wing it. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm taking first. I could just go knight g6, but then maybe f5. And so I'm taking first, so that if he goes d takes f5 and I decide to go knight g6 later, f5 can always be met by knight g takes e5. Yeah, I had a feeling he would take with the d pawn. That's not at all surprising. And again, the question is how to gain counterplay here. I'm thinking about just d4 straight away, looking to just go d3 straight down the hole. d4, knight e takes, I guess. I wanted to go like knight b takes and then here, and that's an awkward spot. I don't even know if that's good. D4, knight E takes bishop C5 anyway, knight C5, queen D4 check. Would pick up a piece. Except my knight's hanging at the end. Shit. By the way, please excuse my COVID-19 hair. It's very long. Look at that. Okay, so D4, knight E, D5, bishop C5, knight B takes, knight takes C5, queen D4 check. Let's say king H1. Maybe rook takes C5, actually. Oh, the rook is also hanging on A1. Okay, so I'm just in good shape there, eh? What other moves might he play? Queen D3. Yeah, queen D3 might actually just be good, huh? Yeah, but serious question, what am I doing after he just puts a knight on D4? I'm just like, worse, right? What is happening here? Another idea is, yeah, it doesn't even work, does it? Man. Yeah, I mean, I have this secondary idea of queen b6, king h1, knight e5, but just idiots hanging. I can go g5. Clinically insane. The move you play when you've completely lost it. Yeah, g5, knight b to d4. What the hell's happening? I don't know. I think I might try this. g5, this knight goes. Bishop c5. It's not horrible. g5, this knight goes. G takes, maybe. I want to try and open up the game before he finishes up development, you know? It's like I need to get active before he like just plays a bunch of consolidating moves. Wow, he just doesn't even care. Now this thing's pinned, so he has to think about that anyway. Man, what a mess I made out of this. Just a horrible, horrible, a typical game. I have freaking no time left. I'm worse, maybe. E5's hanging. I can make a mess out of this now. Anyway. Or I'm just losing. What the hell is happening? It's killing me. Just getting murdered here. Sad. Even this move's kind of sad. I mean, I'm not losing there as badly. I get to take on F1, take on F1, take on E5. But even that seems like it kind of sucks. Yeah, take all my shit. It's sad. I just have to hope for a blunder or something. Knight D3. Putting me out of my misery. Maybe that's not so clear. I don't know. No, it's pretty clear. I'm not losing somehow. That's amazing. This is just what a horrible, horrible game this is. Just... Ugh. Not losing yet, anyway. Yes. Yeah, not trivial. Sad. I'm about to knock my mic off my desk here. I don't have the world's best mic setup, but it's cool. Where did I go wrong? What is happening? Okay, anyway. This video brought to you by Diet Dr. Pepper. None of the carbs, half of the flavor. I don't know if he can really make progress. Yeah, that's an option. So if I go here, knight f7, king c5, knight g5, h6, knight f7, king b4. Somehow I don't think I should be losing there. I think basically I'll have to give up my bishop for this pawn, and then I'll be 2 pawns to none on this side. That's what I'm hoping anyway. I don't have enough time to calculate. So something like knight f7, king c5, knight g5, h6, knight to f7, king b4, knight h6. He's going for it. Yeah, the one problem is my bishop is on this crappiest square for this. So if I take g5, bishop here, just gonna pull back to f8, I think. You can go knight d4 and I can't take here because I'm losing the pawn ending, but I think on knight d4 actually king b4 starting to just run the a pawn is decent. This has been a slop fest. I'm sorry for all of those of you who have watched this far. Okay, so why wouldn't I take this? Okay. Check. Takes a4. Oh man. Takes a4, g5, a3, g6, a2, g7, a1, g8, queen a2 check. Oh man, what a slime ball. Scummed him. Oh, his king's on d6. No. Oh no. Okay. Ah, damn. I can't really force him to a square where I can beat him, so I'm just gonna kind of throw some checks out there, see if I can force a mistake of some kind. I mean, I'm up a pawn now. This is just insanity. Okay. I don't know how to win these endings. I don't know anything about queen and pawn versus queen, so and especially with 11 seconds, I stand no chance of doing this correctly, so I'm just gonna try and make some sense out of this somehow. Okay. c8, I think, is one of the better squares he can rest on because he's not attacking my b pawn, so a trade of queens on that square is, you know, a trade of queens deflecting my king away from c5 does not allow him to take on b6, so I'm going to give him, defer the checks to him for a quick moment. Basically, my hope is that he just runs out and I get to push the b pawn another square, and then we do this all over again. He has to be very careful to not allow some kind of a simplification check here where I'd be winning. Like, yeah, that's a very logical move. Okay, so I'm just going to go here. Yeah, this is annoying. Yeah, that's the one. Sorry, bro. This is just so sick. Oh, man. Oh, I scummed him. Okay, let's take a look at this garbage. Let's go all the way back. I'm sorry that if you made it this far into this video, I am not deserving of you. Whoever you are out there, I don't deserve you. All right, so this is the French advance. It's becoming more popular nowadays, actually. I really do like this A6 line. You could see it's not as popular. It doesn't score poorly, though. And, you know, it's hard to see, actually, because my stupid face is in the way. Wait for it. Is this going to work? Is this going to blow up the video? Okay. You can see it's been played by some pretty good people. You know, Morozevich has played it a couple of times. Rapport, that's not a ringing endorsement. How Yifan, okay, but I think bishop d3 is the most popular move. You do have to go cd here first. If you do this, if I recall, there's like takes, takes, and then takes. And on bishop c5, there's b4. And then this pawn is actually really weak now because it's fixed on the b5 square. So you have to... exchange on d4 first, and then when you go here, if he takes here, check takes, this pawn is free to go here. And actually, like something like here and then b4, this pawn's actually pretty strong, and black benefits from the open c file, open a file. In particular, this a pawn is a little loose because of the pressure here. This knight can't come to the c3 square. So the doubled pawns in this case aren't that bad. That's part of the logic of this system in particular. But okay, so takes. This move actually is the best move, but almost no one plays it because it's very counterintuitive to allow this bishop to sit here. But the point is that like a4, I think, is coming if black does nothing. I actually don't remember what you're supposed to do here either, so it's also interesting to take with the knight here, and then I think knight e7 is the move that I remember, is the critical idea, and then like knight d2, knight b to c6, knight 2 to f3, and then game goes on. Maybe knight g6 or something like that. But it's much more common for people to play bishop d3 here in my experience. So I get this position a lot. And again, yeah, there's this little subtlety that if a3, I feel like knight a5 is the move. But maybe I'm wrong here. You just want to be able to meet b4 with knight c4. I feel like I should be comfortable here already, but I also feel like my position did not really go the way I wanted so much. G5 here, holy moly. Yeah, didn't see that. Okay, what's the... G5 here, I kind of understand, actually. You know, takes makes a lot of sense. Queen takes. He can't take bishop g5 because of knight f3 check. And I don't know, like, what's the threat? Like, what are my ideas here? Bishop e1. Oh, boys. Oh, that's disgusting. Okay, that is very... Man, that's hot. Wow. Chess is crazy. All right. Not that this information is worth anything to me, but it's not like I'll ever see this position again, but it's interesting. That's sickening. Okay, but I took first, and then I think this move just kind of sucks. I think black would be very happy with this position. Just because white's underdeveloped, like, I'm going to win the battle to the F file. Like after g5, what does white actually play? Yeah, king g1 makes a lot of sense. Queen e7. Let's say bishop e3, just getting all his pieces out. Here, yeah, rook f1 again. Takes. Queen f7. What about just here? Knight f3 check. King h1. Oh, yeah, okay, he's just losing all his stuff. So he has to go here. And then I'm just getting in. Okay, yeah, that seems real bad. And by real bad, I mean really bad. Yeah, d4. I felt like this was the move, but like, what about this? Queen d5. Fudge. I looked at queen d5. I didn't see that it threatened mate. Oh, I suck. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That is spicy. And then he has to go, pretty much has to go back. Rook f2. Rook f2, maybe knight e5. Yeah, that is pretty gross. And then I'm just mating him. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, there's like just this is just the toughest part of chess for me always, is like I feel like my opening knowledge is obviously very good and my sense for moves is good. Like I know sometimes that a move should be played. Like I knew d4 was supposed to be played. If I don't, like, there's just this moment where white is behind in development, like it just feels like black has certain things going for him. Like, you know, white's rooks aren't connected. There are all these like dynamic strikes on the center, d4, d3. And if you don't do anything, like there's just this moment where if you don't do anything, white's going to consolidate like the d4 square. And then it's just going to be real tough with your weakness on e6. And I just freaking, I couldn't solve this move and I just gave up too soon. I saw this and I was like, maybe there's some tricks with like, you know, this knight over here. Like I think I was looking at this like knight e5, fe5, bishop c3, hitting the rook, undefending this knight takes, and then I can go here and there's like a pin, but I just didn't, it didn't all come, I didn't believe in it. And I just gave up. I didn't, just visualization-wise, I just did not see that this was here. I think if I saw this and I saw that he'd have to play like some crap like this or this, then I probably would have went for this. Dang. Because even just this is good enough. Like if I saw that I could play d3, I would know that I was just winning. Damn. Okay. That's sad. Dang it. And then at some point, yeah, it's just like, if you just, that freaking one dynamic moment, man, where you just miss it. And then, yeah, and why I didn't play it here, actually, I don't even know. Because now queen d5 is freaking check, people. I mean, there's no reason why I shouldn't play this. But I guess I just thought he'd take it. And yeah, and I'm just killing him. God, I suck. God. All right. Yeah, okay. So this is just all depressing now. And then it gets real bad. And then even here, I screwed it up. So yeah, so just, I can't. Once I played knight f4, I was like, you're an idiot. Because I just can't. It's just such a friggin' bungle. Like to go from this position to where like friggin', you know, to go from here to 8 moves later, I'm just like busted. And he screwed it up. He screwed it up, man. Yeah, knight g2. I was looking at this and I thought I was just fine here, and then yeah, same idea basically, and he just drops the exchange, and then this is an equal ending, no question, and then somehow he screws it up. Even here, I was like, okay, maybe I should just go into this. I have a bishop. There are pawns on both sides. Like I could theoretically I should never lose, and maybe I can try to win somehow. My king's a little bit closer to the center. Maybe that's like just I'm bargaining with myself, you know. It's not really true, but yeah. And this is just I feel like I just move my bishop over and over again, and he can't really get in. Probably at some point I'll put my pawn on h6 or something, and then but he goes for it. This is very risky because he's really banking on this g pawn. It's going to be very hard to keep both of these pawns, and then at some point he just blows it. Yeah, miscalculation by me, of course. But I'm so rusty. I just imagined his king still on d5, and I thought I had this queen a2 at the end. This is so bad. And I go into this. I wonder if I could have not. If it, like king b4, g5. No, so I pretty much have to take it. And then we just go into this, and I just have an extra pawn, but it's not so easy. I wonder if I missed anything. And then at some point he bungles it. I'm just waiting for that check, like... Yeah, actually, very interesting here. Only queen g1. Every other move loses. How does that make sense? King a7. What happens? And only queen f7 is winning. This is retarded. I shouldn't say that. That's not very nice. I can't make heads or frickin' tails of this. I never will, probably. There's just too many frickin' checks. It's like, you can't... What happens if he just keeps checking? This means nothing to me. Really means nothing. Okay, so it's similar. I don't know. These endings are really very confusing to me. But then, yeah, he just blows it. Jesus. I'm sorry you had to watch that. That was complete crap. Okay. Anyway, I do want to show you guys something. This is important. Let's see. I played a game recently. Where is it? Where are you at, dog? Versus Daddy Strength. This is good stuff. First of all, Daddy Strength, just a weird handle. And then it takes more than strength to beat a Daddy Strength. I don't know what that means. But anyway, this game. All right. I know, it's appalling. I'm still playing the French Rubinstein. I don't care. I don't. I get a pretty clearly better position. We reach this position to keep his bishop. He decides to go here, and I just play knight h3 check. Force. He can't go king h1 because of this, and then here. That's obviously garbage, so he has to take. And then I bust up his pawns and also win the d file. And then just plunk this thing down on the 7th rank. He's obviously much worse here. And yeah, probably knight e4, not the best move here. He should just go like, I think knight f1 is the best move because if rook e2, then king f1, and I have to leave the 7th rank. But he could also consider going b3 here. I think that's reasonable. I was planning on going knight c3, hit that thing, and it's still a game. But yeah, this move stinks because now... if he moved the knight anywhere else, I would take on b2, of course. But he moves the knight to c3, and then I decided to take on c3 to just bring it into a purely a rook ending, a pawn up. Especially he has like a horrible pawn structure compared to mine, which is very clean. He should go rook d8, king h7, and then rook d7. And then I would have to decide on whether or not I wanted to go king g6 and save the f7 pawn, allow him to take on a7, or go a5 and allow him to take on f7. But he just goes rook d2, and then I get to go king f8. And this position just really sucks for him. He's down a pawn. He's got the worst pawn structure. He's got the worst rook. He's going to have the less active king because my rook on a3 stops him. A lot of little technical details here, like I decide to stop the pawn on h4 and then put my rook on c4 so his king can't advance past the 4th rank. I'm always looking at this rook on h4. His tremendously passive rook always has to babysit these pawns. Like, it's just all bad. And then I just start pushing these pawns. And I decide to basically structure my pawns such that a rook on a4 guards the only weak one. My king will always be guarding the f7 pawn. Rook a3, now I'm hitting both. He pretty much has to go rook c2 if he wants to keep all of them, but now my king can get active. He goes c4. I don't know if there's a better move. It loses another pawn. He was just banking on basically hitting the 7th rank, getting behind this pawn, getting active with his rook instead of suffering down a pawn where I could just get to keep improving. But my point is that we reached this ending. This should be a very familiar ending to those people who follow my channel. I analyzed it in detail in the first 2 series of the practical endings. So this is, we're not quite there yet because this pawn hasn't reached the 6th or 7th rank, but basically I'm going to force one of these endings. And this one in particular is very bad for white. He's down a second pawn, which I talk about in my series. And the general rule is this. If this pawn is... The thing that makes this ending tough is if you reverse these rooks, white would be trivially losing. I would just push my pawn as far as I was allowed. His rook would be super passive. I would be able to bring my king over, and he would have to bring his king all the way over, and then I could switch my rook over, or I could switch my king, and it's much easier if these rooks are reversed. But because my rook is stuck behind my pawn, it's kind of hard. The rule in these endings is that if the pawn is on the 7th rank, so if the pawn, let's just go there. If the pawn hits the 7th rank, this king is on the g2 or h2 squares, and white cannot, and the advantageous side cannot make a passed e or f pawn. It's generally a draw. So, like, for instance, if this pawn was missing, it's probably a draw. Yeah, I mean, and even if black in this case could make a second pawn, if it was a g or an h passed pawn, it would probably still be a draw. Usually you need a second passed e or f pawn to win this. And the point is that anytime, if I try to use my king to assist the pawn, then this rook will always be, like, for instance, it could be positioned here. It's always available to check the king back to safety, and then the rook swings back here, and black can't move the rook to try and queen the pawn. I talk about all this in my video, but the point is that this is a case where black is winning. I can very easily make a passed e pawn. I knew that because I had done the series. You'd know it if you watched the series, and I knew that I can make a passed e pawn. I also know that in these sorts of endings, you can use these pawns to shield the king and hide your king, like on these squares. So that's the first part of the plan that I did, was walk my king to a more advantageous spot, and then I just start making the passed e pawn. And notice, like, I can play f5 with impunity. He can't take on g6 because of rook b1 and then queen. So eventually we get to this point where another theme that I talk about is there's this little switcheroo you can do once you get the pawns far and once you get your king here, where he has to go back and I can just move the rook because his king has to stay on one of these 2 squares. If we go back a little further, like really anywhere, like here, if he goes king up to g3, then rook g1 check would win, because then a2, or a1, excuse me. So his king has to stay on once my pawn hits the 7th rank, you'll notice his king stays on one of these 2 squares because that does not allow that trick. But his king staying on these 2 squares allows my king to come up to these 2 squares. So, and then I make the e-pawn. That's shelter for my king. And then there's this trick where, of course, if he goes here, then I go here, check, which is a consequence of his king having to stay on h2 and g2, and then he has to go here, and then I take with the pawn, and it's all. But my point was that these endings, you know, these like archetypes that you can study, do come up like that. Since I've made the video, I've probably had this ending 4 or 5 times just on Lichess. And it's a good one. It's a fun one. It's one of my favorite endings, in fact. That's why I made the videos on it. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing okay. I know, you know, hang in there. It sucks. Study some chess, support some chess players, take some private lessons, watch all the awesome like online tournaments that are going on right now. It's sweet. Get outside. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry that game was less than great quality, but there was a scam at the end. That it might even be better than an actual high quality chess game. Anyway, good night.